And so I just wanted to go over some of that with you, so that way you would get that same refresher the other students got, and then give you an opportunity to just ask a few questions if you have any. We are going to end at 10:30 today, so I want to respect your time and give you that extra 15 minutes if you have some other work you need to do or just need to take a break. I know this is really overwhelming, the start of school. So I just wanted to let you know we're going to go until 10:30 and then we'll be done. But we are going to meet again on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. Before we get started with some of the math review and stuff, does anyone have any questions for me? Okay, so I'm going to actually go back and go over just kind of like the course and what you can expect. So every day when you log in, sorry, Richard, what did you get my class? Good question. I have not checked, so I will check after we're done here at 10:30. Thank you for that. Okay, so every day, you're going to log into your course. Make sure you log into algebra every single day. So you're going to have some sort of lesson or homework or a quiz in algebra almost every day. This semester, we've built in a couple of like catch-up days or days where you don't have an assignment, because we want to make sure that we're not putting too much on you and forcing you to fall behind. So you actually have a catch-up day this week on Wednesday. There's nothing due in the course. There's no lesson to watch. So that's a really great day to get caught up on. If you have any overdue assignments or you need to watch some videos, that's a perfect time to do that. So you're going to log into your class every single day. And there's a couple places that you can go to figure out what you're supposed to be doing that day. So normally, you will have some sort of like overdue notice, or not an overdue notice, but a schedule on the left-hand side of your course that will tell you what's due for that day. So that will tell you what module you need to be working in. You can also go to the class announcements, and our class announcements will have the date, and it will say like lesson and so or module to complete, and so that will tell you like, okay, today we are working on, like if you go in today, 1.07, and then on the right hand side it will say graded items that are due, and it will tell you exactly what you need to do for that day that's going to be taken for a grade. So like today there's a homework assignment in Class Kick, so you will go to Class Kick and log in, complete your homework assignment, and then click the raise your hand button, and then that's it. And then tomorrow it will say quiz. And so you know that you have a quiz you need to take in the course. So that's two ways that you can find out what it is you're supposed to be doing for that day. You get 3 attempts on all of your quizzes. You get 2 attempts on every test, and then unlimited attempts on your homework and the graded part, like the written assignment of your test. So each unit, I'm going to go over that in just a second, Richard. Each unit, we have a multiple choice part of the test. It's usually 10 questions. And then there's a second part of the test where you're going to complete in Class Kick, and you're going to write out and show your work. And that part you get unlimited attempts on. So I'll give you feedback, and then you can continue to make changes until you get a grade that you're happy with. Don't use all of your attempts on your quizzes and tests if you're not understanding what it is, like why you're missing problems. So my advice is take your first attempt. If you can look back through the answers and understand like, oh, I understand why I got this one wrong, or I understand now how to get to the right answer, then go ahead and use your next attempt. But if you're not understanding, then that's where I would send an email. Email me or come to tutoring and just ask me like, hey, can you go over how to work this problem with me? I'll go over it with you, and then you'll go back and use your last attempt. So Richard had a good question. He was wondering, if you didn't start until the 18th, do we do the things from last week? So you started on the 18th, and on the 18th we had a quiz due. So you're going to be responsible for that quiz, and the homework that was like the day before. The only reason I'm making you responsible for the homework is because I don't want to just make you take that quiz without doing the homework. So I want you to have a chance to practice and get feedback and get a homework grade of 100 before you have to go take that quiz. And then there was a quiz on Friday, so you'll be responsible for that as well. Everything else prior, you're not responsible for, except for the beginning of the year assessment. And that's just something that the principals make us have you take. But it's not for a grade. So there are 44 questions, and I just need you to go in, read the questions. You're not expected to, thank you, Faith. You're not expected to know any of it. This is all things that we want you to know by the end of algebra. So in May, I would love if you knew the answers. But you're not expected to know any of it right now. So I just need you to go in, pick some answers, and then you get 100 for that as well, as long as you complete it. So it shouldn't take you too terribly long. Okay, I'm going to kind of go through this a little bit quick, so that way we have some time to get to the math stuff. But on Mondays and Fridays, we have small groups, and those are from 10 to 10:45. We also have another small group on Thursday from 10 to 10:45, and then Friday from 9 to 9:45. So there's 4 opportunities for small groups. We do not have attendance checks. I guess technically you don't have to come to class. I would 100% recommend it, but you do not have to, as long as you are doing well in the course. And something new that we've done this year, so high school is a little bit different than the middle school and elementary school schedule. So if your last name starts with an A, letter A through the letter M, you are going to meet with me for a whole group session on Tuesdays from 10 to 10:45. And what we do in that session is we're going to go over the topics from the previous week. So it's going to be like a reteach. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions. So it's not going to be anything new, but a lot of times what I'll do is go over this is a problem that's going to be on the test, or very similar to one that's on the test. So you'll want to come to those. And then if your last name is N through Z, you're going to be in the Wednesday group. So we only meet once a week, and we're going over the stuff from the previous week. So then how do you get your information? Well, we went through over the summer as an algebra team, and we took out all of the generic, random person from across the world teaching you algebra. We took out every video, and we created our own. So the videos are, if it's not on the test, we're not covering it. And if it is on the test, we're definitely going over it in the videos. So we tried to keep the videos under 10 to 15 minutes. So that way you weren't sitting there watching 30 minutes of videos every day. So please, please, please log in, watch your videos, because that's the only way you're going to get the instruction. Because we're not meeting every day for me to teach you live, but you do have a video of me teaching in your course for every lesson. Okay. So Mauricio, you are going to work on the 1.07 solving inequalities assignment. Yes, that is what's in the course today. So make sure that you watch the video, and then you can go complete that assignment. I do have some tutoring hours. So Monday, actually, no, they're fine. Okay, so Monday and Tuesday from 11 to 11:45, you can sign up for tutoring with me. And then Wednesdays from 9 to 10. I have tutoring. So that would be like right before class. I have some office hours as well. So office hours and tutoring are basically the same, but office hours, if you drop into office hours, you may or may not get like one-on-one attention. So I would always recommend signing up for tutoring because that guarantees it's going to be you and I, or maybe one or two other students. But you'll definitely get a chance to ask your questions. So that's that. Last slide before we kind of go on to some math stuff. So how to get help, how to be successful, make sure that you're completing your content, specifically watching those videos. Attend your whole groups, attend your small groups if you get put in a small group. Sometimes the small groups are like, the small groups change. And y'all are going to have small group until, I think we're going to do it for 4 weeks, just because you started a little late, and I want to make sure that you don't feel like you're way behind. And then you can also use Tutor Me. You can email me. If any of my like tutoring or office hours don't work for you, you can always email me your questions. Like I've had a couple students email me about Friday's quiz, and they just took a screenshot and said, I don't understand how to solve this one. Can you help me? And so if the tutoring hours don't work for you, send me an email. And what I did this morning was I made a little video, a tutorial video, and said, okay, I'm going to solve this problem, explain how we got to the answer. And then I just sent it back to them. So that's always an option too, if you just want to email me your questions. And that's that. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before we do a little bit of math? Okay. Cool. Alrighty. So what we're going to do today is solving linear equations. And here are your steps. So if you remember back, I don't know when you learned PEMDAS, order of operations. I'm not sure. Maybe like in 6th or 7th grade? 5th? Okay. So PEMDAS is parentheses, exponent, fifth. Okay. Multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So that is called the order of operations. That's how we solve. Actually, here, let's do a practice one. Here is where we would use PEMDAS. So I'm going to write it up here at the top. And I want to give you guys like a minute to go ahead and tell me what this would equal. All right, so you can see that we're getting a couple different answers already, and that's okay. I'm going to go over the correct answer. So the first thing we're going to do is parentheses. So we're going to check out our parentheses and see if there's anything that we can combine, multiply, divide, add, subtract. So when I look at my parentheses here, 2 plus 4 is going to be 6. All right, so now I'm going to rewrite my problem. And instead of writing 2 plus 4, I'm going to write 6. All right, so that takes care of the P. I don't have any exponents. Now I've got multiplication or division, whichever comes first. Well, I don't have any division, but I do have multiplication. And it's a little tricky to see because it doesn't use a multiplication sign, but this 3 is right next to this 6, and it's in parentheses. I left it in parentheses on purpose because we have to multiply those together. So this is going to be 2 minus 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, so that becomes 18. 3 times 6, 18. So 2 minus 18 is now negative 16. So there you go. There's your answer, negative 16. So that's how we used PEMDAS, order of operations, previously. We went forwards. Well, now when we're solving equations, we're actually going to use it backwards. So I'm going to do an example for you on the next slide and show you what I mean by that. But some rules that we have for solving equations: whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So think of it as like one of those old school scales, like where you have like a little bucket over here and a bucket over here, and they're equal to start. That's what the equal sign means. If I have 5 pounds over here and 5 pounds over here, and I add a pound over on this side, it's going to become unbalanced. So I have to do it, whatever I do, adding, subtracting, multiply, divide, I have to do it to both sides of my equal sign. All right, another rule is to simplify the equation as much as you can. For example, combining like terms. So that's like if you have two plain numbers that don't have a variable, or two numbers that have the same variable, you're going to want to combine those. And then again, use PEMDAS backwards. So you're going to undo any addition or subtraction first, and then you'll undo multiplication and division. Some people like to think of it as unwrapping the present. So you're going to find the variable that you want to solve for. Yeah, sad MEP, maybe, Richard. You're going to find the variable and then just like slowly unwrap it until you get it all by itself. So what does that look like? Well, let's look at what it looks like with division and, addition and subtraction. So first things first, I'm going to find my variable. Here it is, x. And I want to solve for x. So it has a negative 6 with it. So I want to undo the negative 6. So what should I do if I want to get rid of negative 6? What would I do to get it to be 0? Yeah, good, Elijah. I'm going to add 6. And remember, our number one rule was whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. If it helps you to draw a line down the middle of your equal sign so that you can clearly see like, okay, it's on both sides of the equal sign, then do that. All right, so now negative 6 plus 6 becomes 0. So I'm left with just x. And over here, I'm going to get 14 plus 6. So 14 plus 6 is going to be 20. And that's it. That's how you solve the one-step equations. So let's look over here on the right-hand side. Again, I'm going to find my variable. It's x. And I'm going to ask myself, what's happening to x? Okay, x is, it's 6 plus x. So x is getting 6 added to it. So to undo adding 6 or a positive 6, I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. So then I get x equals 8. Okay, any questions about addition or subtraction? All right, so let's talk about multiplication and division. So this first one says 15x equals negative 45. And I want you to get in the habit, when you see a number next to a variable, that indicates multiplication. So I'm going to try to train my brain to say 15 times x equals negative 45. Okay. Whenever I say it that way, that tells my mind, oh, 15 times x. So I found x, 15 times x. What's happening? Oh, it's being multiplied. So then what do I need to do to undo multiplication? I'm going to divide. So I'm going to get x equals negative 45 divided by 15, good Mauricio, equals negative 3. Alrighty, so let's look at this other one. X divided by 15. So we want to start reading this one as x divided by instead of x over 15. So I know a lot of times we get kind of complacent and say, oh, x over 15. Let's think about it as x divided by 15 equals negative 45. So to undo division, I am going to multiply. And what I'm going to do is multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to write that word up here. Reciprocal. What? Where'd that go? Okay, reciprocal. What reciprocal means is I'm basically going to take my fraction. So this was 1x divided by 15 or 1 divided by 15. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. Reciprocal means you're going to flip the fraction. So instead of 1 divided by 15, I'm going to multiply it by 15 divided by 1. You'll see why we do it as a fraction on the next slide. So I'm going to multiply by 15 on both sides, and then you will use your calculator, those are cancel, to type in negative 45 times 15, and you should get negative 675. Is that right? Hopefully. Yay, okay. That's okay, no worries. All right, so we'll do these two, and then that will be all we'll get through today. So on the left, I have x divided by 6.1. I knew somebody was going to freak out about decimals. Don't even freak out. It's nothing to worry about. So x divided by 6.1 equals 18. So what do you think I'm going to do? Y'all tell me in the chat, what should I do? Anybody? Yeah, good, Reagan. Good, Richard. Exactly. So what I'm going to do is multiply both sides by 6.1. So multiply by 6.1. So x is going to equal, good Sophia, 109.8. See, not scary decimals. All right, and then the last one, we are going to do those silly fractions again, and we're going to have to multiply by the reciprocal. So now you can see why we wanted to get in the habit of doing like 15 divided by 1. So this is 2/3 x. So what I'm going to do to get rid of this, because I want this to become a 1, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to flip it. So multiply by 3/2. So over here, the 3's cancel, the 2's cancel. I'm just left with x. And then we're going to multiply straight across the top. So negative 14 times 3 is negative 42. And then on the bottom, this would be like over 1. So negative 42 divided by 2. And then I'm going to simplify. Good, y'all. So I'm going to simplify, which will become negative 21. Very good. You got it. All right. Does anyone have any questions for me? That's funny, Richard. Okay, so the only you can do 3/2 into a decimal because that would be 1.5. But the only problem is sometimes like 2/3, that's like 0.666 repeating, and you won't get the same exact answer because like if you decide to round it to 0.67, you're not going to get the same exact answer. So you want to make sure that we try to keep those fractions in there and use them. Um, use them as much as we can, like keep them as fractions because it gives us a more precise answer. All right. Well, if there are no more questions, that is all I have for you today. Have a great day. And I will see some of you in class tomorrow, some of you Wednesday, and all of you again Friday.